I'm your host, Donna Cates, and each week we'll dive into powerful stories, expert strategies, and practical tools to help you take charge of your financial future. Whether you're planning for retirement, navigating a divorce, or simply looking to build your wealth with confidence, this is your space to grow, learn, and thrive. Let's get started with today's podcast. Welcome, everybody. I'm really excited to introduce you to Carla Cohen, who is the Regional Director for Global Women and also runs Women's Health Revolution. So, we are going to start by having Carla give us a quick 90-second overview of what it is that you do, Carla, and why you got into it.
Okay, well, both of the things that I do are related. So Global Women Club is an organization that's dedicated to increasing the visibility of women around the world and also helping them increase their income. So our motto is, if we want to empower a woman, give her a mic. So we encourage women to get up and speak and pitch themselves and refine themselves as business people and connect globally with an international community of women. And yes, and my meetings are both in person and hybrid, so people can attend no matter where they are. It doesn't matter what part of the world. And then my own business is also about empowerment. It's called Women's Health Revolution. And basically what I do is I help seasoned female business owners who are struggling to get to the next level shift through deep-seated patterns so they can increase their income, unlock resilience, and experience greater sense of security and joy. And it's just about I stand for women being fully empowered financially. As women, we've suffered for many, many years at the hands of, I'm not making men bad, but, just the way our society has been set up and we've all been programmed. And so I really help women start to question some of those things that they've accepted as lifelong beliefs and the limitations that they've accepted. Why do you need them? How are they serving you?
And I have to tell you, we are spot on having the same conversation. One of my mottos in working with the women that I work with is that, I'm helping women make smart decisions about their money because a man is not a financial plan.
Oh, I love that. I like that it rhymes too. Very good.
That was just accidental, but yes. So I'm on the same page with you, Carla. There's no doubt about that. And I love the fact that you mentioned that you give a woman a mic, and that's going to be empowering. Let her get out there and speak. That's that's awesome. So tell me, what are you seeing as the biggest problem? And now your industry is a little unique. But what are the biggest problems that you're encountering in the work that you do, and how are you working to overcome that?
Yeah, well, I'm so dedicated to finding solutions to really help people. It's not just a business for me, it's a mission. And so whatever I can pull in, I'm always learning new tools, for people who, especially since a lot of what I do is working with that deeper programming that people are not even conscious of a lot of times. Mm-hmm. So what I see going on a lot is women not, they're incredibly gifted women, incredibly good at what they do, but lacking the belief or commitment in themselves. And that comes from things that happened a long time ago. It's not because they're not competent, And I think that I see that women, when they get rejected on a business offer, a lot of times when they're trying to put their services out there, they don't tend to have the resiliency that you need to have. And rejection isn't personal. Oftentimes it has nothing to do with the person giving the offer. It has everything to do with the person receiving it and where their head's at. And so it's the obstacle, or the biggest problem I see, is people not recognizing that they have this obstacle that isn't serving them and they need to learn how to navigate it. But it doesn't mean that they're not good at what they do. Does that make sense?
It does make perfect sense to me. And I will tell you, so many times, I've been in the work that I've been in for over 25 years, and I didn't go out on my own until about 2.5 years ago. And when I was making that decision, it was literally kind of like imposter syndrome. It was, I'm
Exactly.
sitting there going, who am I to do this? Who am I to be so bold? Who am I? You know, that kind of, so, and I'm a professional and I know what I know and what I'm capable of, but I still go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I think, I'm going to be completely honest here. As much as I've healed, I still have places too where I hit it. And it's always kind of, for me, it's interesting because I'm so self-aware when I'm doing it. Like, oh, wow, I just dropped, for me, it's because of the work. A lot of the work I do is really enabling that body-mind connection and that awareness, improving that self-awareness. And so when you start to know your body well enough and you're connected with what you're saying and doing, you can actually start to see when you're dropping down, like when you know that. And by I mean dropping down, I mean you come from this up place when you're off, you believe in your offer, you're giving it out there, and then all of a sudden it's the ask for the money, right? Somebody says, how much does it cost? And then it's like, and if you're aware enough, you can maybe feel a drop in your solar plexus. You might feel something, down in your sacral chakra at the base of your body. So sometimes you might feel a palpitation up in your heart. And so what I like to do is, because I have a huge background in emotional intelligence, is people to be aware of these different sensations. Number one, so they can see that they are out of alignment. And number two is, okay, now that you're aware of the sensation, I can support you in moving through that so you don't have to keep experiencing it over and over again.
Okay, so I'm very curious. How do you do that? I mean, I mean, I want to unpackage that because, okay, emotional intelligence, being aware of what's happening when it's happening and learning how to move through it. That's a
Correct.
lot. But what might it look like if I were working with you and we're addressing an issue?
Well, for example, I had this client. She's amazing, and she's actually a technical space engineer over in Europe.
Mm.
Brilliant woman. I mean, I actually, when she decided to move forward with me, it was kind of like, I'm not worthy, you know what I mean? Because she's such a mind, right? And but in her situation, she was thinking about leaving her job because she was so dissatisfied with what the dynamics. She had these great ideas, but she was kind of held back by two men above her, as her supervisors. So the first obstacle we worked with was like, okay, so what are you feeling when you're dealing with these particular men, and then getting her to become aware that she has a feeling going on, right? Learning to connect with that emotional business. Then, like, okay, you want to navigate this, you want them to do a particular project. Okay, so let me help you with some emotional intelligence skills so that you can learn how to navigate it. Like, what are the words you say and how do you approach it? And then how do you resolve it? And then how do you take it to the next level? So in her case, we were able to not only resolve the relationships with both of her bosses. She ended up loving her job. She resolved the relationship with the two bosses. Their boss finally got to see who she was. She got promoted and got her own division now that has to do with populating civilians on off the planet, right, out in space. Wow. So, which is her lifelong desire, but she'd never actually vocalized that to anybody. It just kind of, but through everything that we did. So there was breathing work done, there was meditation, there was, there were those, some self-awareness work, but there's also tools that I have that I've learned after, I've been on the planet for a while. So, but I won't go into the whole thing, but 35 years ago, I had a huge health crisis and it caused me to leave Hollywood. I was working with A-list celebrities and I had to leave because my health was going downhill and I was putting in a 70-hour work week. So part of my recovery, I spent 2 years in bed. I'm just doing this really fast. And part of my recovery was exactly the stuff that I'm teaching to people now, because the same tools that you can use to get yourself that raise, bring in that client that you're looking for, fill in that gap that you feel like you have, those are the same tools I use to help me heal myself because the doctors couldn't help me.
Wow.
So we have so much magic. There's 62 chemicals here in our body. We can create any emotion, any energetic compound in a second. Have you ever had an experience where maybe you feel like something went numb in your body? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you can create your own anesthesia, right? Like And we do often, we create emotional anesthesia so we don't have to feel what's going on because it's a little frightening to us. We don't have there's no driver's manual.
Wow.
I don't know if that, if that's making sense, but that's what I do.
Yeah, it's extremely fascinating. And I can't help but to be curious about this, using the terms emotional intelligence and us applying it to ourselves. Where do you see the industry going? And I'm literally kind of thinking artificial intelligence, how we're
Oh,
using it today, and then the emotional intelligence and all. But so what's happening in the industry, or where do you see that going over the next 5 to 10 years?
yeah, that's a great question. I think that we are not on a good path right now because people are very concerned with the bottom line. And the problem is with that kind of thinking, you don't allow for innovation out there in the world and new ideas to come in, new ways of approaching things. And so, always the thing we don't know is the thing we're afraid of, right? And once you get exposed to it, you go, oh my God, this is so great. But there's so many, like if you go into a corporation and you work with corporate leaders, a lot of times they are not willing to take an honest look at what's going on inside themselves, and be willing to, it's like there has to be something that's beyond policy for things to continue to grow and morph and innovate. And if you're hung up on policy, you're never going to innovate.
Wow, interesting. I have another question for you. So I feel like you've shared one significant challenge that you've experienced thus far, of
Uh-huh.
spending 2 years in bed as you're recovering
Right.
from your health crisis. But is there another challenge that you faced to this point in your life that's either personally or professionally that's shaping the way that you're doing business today?
I would say there's been lots of them, lots of challenges, and each one has kind of shaped how I do things or how I've morphed. I like a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm always sort of refining how I'm presenting myself out there to the universe because we start with this big, open funnel, and then we kind of have to narrow it down so we can, relate to people and they can understand what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the biggest challenges that I think I learned from the most was, believe it or not, was actually being willing to take on this project of creating an organization. Being a U.S. version of a London-based organization here in the United States. So
Wow.
that was very difficult because there had not ever been, nobody knew about the club in Orange County. Nobody, had heard of it. And so to start a networking organization and tell people, I am going to do this, and it's not just a networking organization. It's unique because it's really a cut above what's out there, most of them, in terms of the way the women dress, the way we carry on in a meeting. It's very different. It's not like because if you think about how networking meetings are traditionally run, they're run on a male-based outline, a male-based way of doing business. And women don't necessarily operate the same way that a man does. And we work with connection. We're not going to just come in there and try to close the deal. Well, there are some women that will, but
Yeah.
but mostly that's because that's how they were taught. It's so much more inviting when you develop relationships and you're invited to jump into business with somebody or do business. And you want it rather than you're it's almost like people are seeking you out instead of you having to seek them.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very interested in attending your next event, by the way. So,
Well, that's great. That's
yeah,
great.
awesome. I appreciate that. Okay, another question for you. If you could have lunch with anybody, whether they're living or deceased, who
Mhm.
would it be and why?
Hmm. I probably, let's see, have lunch with them. Well, I would really like to spend more time with Deepak Chopra. I had the amazing experience of meeting him in person, actually at one of our events over in London. He
Wow.
came in as a speaker, And, I got somebody pulled me and said, shoved me and was grabbing me and said, get in the picture, and I was like, and I didn't even know who they were pushing me in the picture with. And then I realized, oh my God, it's Deepak Chopra. Right. So, it's funny. I think first of all, what I learned about him was very interesting. It was really interesting for me to see myself and see how much I had judged him, like for all the stuff that really was baloney that I'd made up. I don't know, some story about him. He really is a very evolved being. And literally, he led a meditation, and I've been meditating for 45 years. I meditate every morning. I don't miss it. If I have a flight at 5 o'clock in the morning, I get up at 3. You know what I mean? It's like non-negotiable. So he led us through a meditation, and I was like really skeptical. In about 2 minutes, I was out, and I don't know where I went. And it got me thinking about, what he said was so profound during the meeting. He talked about how it's time for women to lead the way, that we're trying, that the paradigm is shifting. And I think in a lot of ways it is, but it's like, it's still below the surface, so much more than, does that, resonate with you? Like, it's not really up here. It's kind of this movement coming up from underneath, right?
Under the scene or under the radar. Yeah. It's happening, but not out loud.
Yeah. So anyway, he would be my person, because I felt like as much as I've been exposed to a lot of spirituality, I traveled to India multiple times. I stayed up in an ashram in the Himalayas. I climbed Mount Kailash. I did some pretty weird stuff. And but just being around somebody who is actually embodying the principles in such a way that they don't have to say anything. You could just sit in their presence and go, okay, I feel a little bit different.
What an experience. And it sounds like you've had a marvelous life traveling and doing, so yay.
Yeah.
So I would agree to sit down and have lunch with you too when you meet. I'll just be the fly on the wall.
Oh, anytime. Yeah.
Awesome. So tell me this, what's the best way for people to reach out to you, contact you, learn about what you do, support you, all the things?
Well, first of all, for the Global Women, you can look me up, look up Global Woman Orange County, Global Woman Club Orange County. If you're savvy enough to write down a link, it's globalwomanevents.com and then /Orange County, all one word. So that tells you my schedule. All the meetings are hybrid. So please do check out the organization. And also, so I do have an opportunity for people to do what I call a breakthrough session with me. These are just mini sessions where, you get to experience a little bit of what I do. And if you're interested in that, you can go to breakthroughwithcarla.com and sign up. That's breakthroughwithcarla.com. And I think those are probably the best ways. You can find me on LinkedIn. I think that's how you and I met, right?
Right.
So I've been writing a weekly column also, which might be of interest. So if you go to my LinkedIn, you can see some of the work I'm putting out there as well.
Okay, awesome. Well, I know we're already connected, but I'll ask all our listeners to go check you out as well. Yeah, fascinating woman, and I certainly appreciate you being a guest today.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It's an honor to be had. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And it's been lovely talking to you. I look forward to getting to know you better.
Appreciate that. Thanks so much. I hope today's conversation left you feeling inspired, informed, and ready to take the next step in your financial journey. Remember, building wealth isn't just about money. It's also about creating a life that aligns with your goals and values. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with the women in your life who deserve financial empowerment too. Until next time, stay confident, stay empowered, and keep building the life you desire.